It is my privilege to pay homage to very distinguished, eminent scientist, Dr. Ved Prakash Kamboj. I was in constant touch with him, particularly regarding the upcoming ISSRF 2024. It was a shocking news when 21st of November 2023, I learned that Dr. Kamboj is no more. It was quite some time to reconcile, and I felt that we have to bow before the God's decision. And subsequently, I get in touch with the family of Dr. Kamboj, and at the level of the ISSRF, we decided that we should pay homage, tribute to Dr. Kamboj. So the first thing which was done was to bring out a full-page tribute in the ISSRF newsletter, which was in the process of publication. Subsequently, we thought that we should get in touch with the scientific fraternity all over the country and apprise them about this said development and seek their comments, their feelings about Dr. Kamboj in the form of the video bite. And I am pleased to share that many scientists from different parts of the country, different primary institutions of the country, they responded and they have shared their views about Dr. Kamboj, his accomplishments, and how they feel their long association, and now he is no more, how they feel about that. And this is going to be compiled with the initiative of Dr. Pradyuman K. Misra, a scientist F and a Nehru Fulbright Fellow at National Institute of Research in Environmental Health at Bhopal. And this initiative will definitely help us to let the scientific fraternity know that the Kamboj, though physically not present, but his accomplishments, contributions will be remembered throughout the world in times to come. Dr. Kamboj, while serving in different capacities as the Director, Central Drug Research Institution, as also the President, National Academy of Sciences, made immense contributions. And his contribution specifically using centromine and developing this as a non-steroidal female orally effective contraceptive that was the first of its kind world over, and that has brought lot of reputation to the CDRI and to the country. And we feel that this contribution will be remembered for all times to come. Dr. Kamboj has been associated with the ISRF from the very beginning of its establishment in 1988 by Dr. T.C. Anand Kumar as the founder, president of the society. Subsequently, we found that every year when the scientific program is being developed, when the participation of the scientists all over the country and abroad, Dr. Kamboj's contribution was immense. And he continued his contribution to the society development and growth. Dr. Misra has taken initiative to bring out a special issue of Journal of Reproductive Healthcare and Medicine. This is an official publication of our society, and he has already initiated and he plans to bring it out in the 2025. I hope that with the initiative of the ISRF and the possibility of starting the Dr. V.P. Kamboj Memorial Oration, though physically Dr. Kamboj may not be with us, but his immense contributions will be remembered by the generations to come in due course of time. I wish that the family of Dr. Kamboj would contribute in ensuring that his memories are everlasting, and the society will take initiative to ensure that the platform is used for all generations to come to remember Dr. Kamboj and his contributions in science, particularly reproductive health. Thank you so much.
Dr. Kamboj is, of course, associated with the CDRI in many ways. What is also remarkable is that after his retirement as director, he had the charge of one of the DBT's initiative to industrialize scientific discoveries and make it available to people. And you know, he did for me something which was remarkable. I had made a polyherbal formulation called Basant, which was very good and sort of stopped completely the abnormal vaginal discharge which many women have. What is also very sort of impressive is that Basant also acted on the human papilloma virus, which causes the carcinoma of cervix. So in other words, if you use Basant 30 days, one ampule, harmless altogether in the vagina, then not only the abnormal vaginal discharge is completely cured, but if there were any tendencies towards the carcinoma of the cervix caused by the virus HPV, then that also gets totally cleared. So it's a double-edged lovely thing whose sort of merit it is Kamboj who discovered, and he was instrumental in passing it on to a Kerala company, this Biopharma, to make it industrially and distribute it. So if this Basant came into the market and got available to the public, Dr. Kamboj had a major role in passing our work or our sort of, which was in a paper only, 1 or 2 papers, but he passed it on to an industry which literally made it possible to take it to the people. So therefore he had these qualities also.
A relationship which began in early 70s when we had the world's first international conference on endocrinology held in Delhi, lasted till the other day with Dr. Ved Kamboj, who was excellence in terms of innovativeness in science. I remember the first interaction very well, that when I had come with a degree and specialized in radioimmunoassay, and he was very much interested in endocrinology and how the drugs, how the manufacturing of the drugs, the design of the drugs, and at that time especially the reproductive endocrinology. And therefore that interaction began in over and there. He was interested in the radioimmunoassay, and subsequently that more intense interaction took place at the Department of Biotechnology in the Ministry of Science and Technology when we interacted in various committees and various meetings. And interestingly, that as chairman of the reproductive animal sciences, he was very much involved in the various activities of the Department of Biotechnology. I know him as a very cool, composed and articulate person, that every word he would deliver was a word which had meaning. And the way he steered himself to the position of the director of the CDRI and then led the Science Academy, and at the same time was providing mentorship to a large number of students, was always something which we as colleagues would always venerate about. Dr. Ved Prakash was subsequently associated with the Indian Society of the Study of Reproduction and Fertility. And it is here that we continued our association. And I feel personally a great loss when I find that he is no longer with us in his physical self, though that words, the deeds, and the footprints he has left behind is going to give us a leadway for future in the area of reproductive biology.
It is a rare opportunity to talk about a legendary person like Professor Kamboj, whom I have known since late 90s when he was a director of CDRI. I think 95, 96 I met him for the first time. And then there continued interactions, but particularly more so in the last 15 years. Seen him contributing as a very well-known endocrinologist, reproductive biology scientist, a very productive one who had an example of the translation also coming out with the contraceptive pills. And then also as a science promoter actually. And not only as a director of the CDRI, then his later role as emeritus scientist, but now as NIC president, and the chairman of so many committees of the DBT, ICMR, and other science agencies. I think a very well-meaning person, a commanding person, full of knowledge, and a person who led by example actually, whether it could be as a productive scientist, not only say when I say a productive scientist in terms of only a product which he produced, but actually the publications, very high quality publications, so advancement of science. But then promoting the science, in promoting other people who are contributing. So I think when we look at him, his passing away, I think that's the type of gap is always very difficult to fill. But that's life actually. So I think we must remember people like Dr. Kamboj in the light as the nature creates, and also try to follow what they did actually. Entire life story of their evolution, their contribution, and then ultimately what he did as a person who promoted the science for everybody, particularly reproductive health. So I think we in NASI, we in ISSRF, we all miss him ever. But we will continue to talk and he'll continue to inspire.
I've known Dr. Kamboj for some decades now. I knew him as director of Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. Although he comes from endocrinology background, perhaps working with Dr. Nityanand, whom we lost very recently, he developed competence in drug development. And he became the country's foremost leader in drug development. And in particular, that helped the biopharmaceutical area. He chaired the RCGM, Review Committee for Genetic Modification. So all the bioinformatics people and the biopharmaceuticals people, who are all molecular biologists, had no clue of how to develop these as a drug. And he was very, very competent in the process, especially clinical trials, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, preclinical trial. He was very knowledgeable in all those areas. That is his competence part, science part. And we worked together in many committees. And Dr. Kamboj, was very forthright, always. Blunt, more or less, in his reactions. He will not hesitate. Whoever is the speaker, he will just pass his judgment and then be open about it. I mean, that is something very, people try to hide their emotions, whatever, but not Dr. Kamboj. So I believe we have lost a very good, competent drug developer, knowledgeable person in the area of drug development. We will miss him, although he was my age perhaps, but time takes a toll. But in spite of that, I sometimes feel lonely about it. Thank you.
I had known late Dr. V.P. Kamboj since 1970s, when in the Department of Science and Technology and later in biotechnology, we worked very closely, especially for the science and industry related projects. He was the chairman of our task force in the Department of Biotechnology for Industrial Development when I was the secretary. In fact, to relate scientific research with product, processes and technology development, he was like my teacher in DBT, and as a result of our association, there were many important breakthroughs in our efforts. On a more personal touch, I can never forget the mangoes which he used to send in the season. He was one of the most liked expert in DBT amongst all the officers, very highly respected. His behavior with all was simply outstanding and very, very friendly, affectionate and respectful. Those who came in contact with him can never forget his virtues, affection and respect towards the concerned people. He was a par excellent human being and no doubt a great scientist. The scientific community in particular in our country will always remember him for his monumental contributions. For me, he was friend, philosopher and guide, and I learnt a great deal from him, and certainly I will always cherish his memories, all the teachings which he gave me and guidance he provided me. I will always remain grateful to him, and I pay my respectful tributes to him on this day.
It brings fond memories to heart when paying tribute to Dr. V.P. Kamboj, ex-director of CDRI Lucknow and president of National Science Academy of India. I have had a long association with him because of his path-breaking research on non-hormonal contraceptive centromine, as well as his association with research on several herbal and chemical products related to reproductive health at CDRI. He had a deep understanding and commitment towards fundamental aspects of human physiology and endocrinology, and his advice and guidance in these fields will be missed. He has been a gem of a person with down-to-earth approach to life, extremely humble, always approachable, and ready to share his experiences. Once I asked him, at what stage should one stop operating? And he told me, don't do it till you can work. His wife was a gynecologist, actively operating till last day of her life, and to express his deep affection towards her, he started an oration and a Young Scientist Award in the memory of her in ISSRF. I think 2024 is going to be the first ISSRF annual conference where he will be missed. He has been very regular in attending all ISSRF conferences despite his age and failing health. He was not only a great scientist but a noble and divine soul. He will be always remembered and deeply missed by all of us.
Passing away of Dr. Kamboj is a great personal loss to me. Dr. Kamboj was a man with innovative vision. He was a profoundly honored and distinguished scientist of the country, and his mere presence was an uplifting experience. His journey is nothing but short of inspiration. He was an iconic figure. Normally, we specialize in one subject, but he was a person who could deal with most of the subjects. He was an astute administrator, an excellent researcher, and a wonderful human being. The combination of all these qualities is rare to find. I was personally associated with him for several years, and I can say that this is a great loss not only to scientists but to humanity. He was a great visionary and epitome of grace and wisdom. His motto was Karam hi Jeevan hai. His death is truly a great loss to all of us, but we will cherish his fond memories. Professor H.N. Verma, Pro-Chancellor, Jaipur National University and Chairman, Nasi Chapter, Rajasthan.
To speak about my parents and especially my father, whom you all know as Dr. Ved Prakash Kamboj, words just fail me. He was the best, an academician par excellence, a loving husband, a wonderful supporting and encouraging father to both my sister and myself, and a doting Nanaji. Both my parents excelled in their respective fields, at the same time being down to earth, and have left behind a great vacuum both professionally and personally as they departed from this world. My mom, late Dr. Mridula Kamboj, was a renowned gynecologist and the former medical superintendent at Fatima Hospital, Lucknow. After her untimely demise in the early 2015, Papa, in her memory, began with the oration lecture and the Young Scientist Award at ISSRF. My father, an eminent endocrinologist, was the former director at CDRI Lucknow. His career was marked by tireless work ethic, innovative thinking, and a passion to make a difference. His contributions to the pharma field, be it Centchroman or Art Ether, not only showcased his brilliance but also caused a lasting impact on the community he served. My father worked till his last breath and was to deliver a lecture at DAV College Jalandhar on 22nd November last year, but unfortunately passed away on the night of 21st. We are indeed very fortunate to be their daughters and are now left behind with wonderful everlasting memories of a lifetime. Though our parents may no longer be with us physically, but we will try carrying forward the values they held dear: love, compassion, and the enduring strength found in human connections. In the end, I would just like to say, your life was a blessing, your memory a treasure. You are missed beyond words and loved beyond measure. We love you and miss you, Papa.
There was this golden time in Indian science when biology of reproduction dominated the scene. We had 4 pillars of research groups in India: East, West, North and South. And Dr. Ved Prakash Kamboj, we fondly call him Dr. Kamboj, was the pillar of the North. I know him from early 90s, and we had been interacting on and off, and we went almost every single time when there was an ISSRF meeting. He stood strong, he stood tall, and he had been an inspiration to all the people working in biology of reproduction in our country and around the world. He was a major boost to practice what's called as the drug research in India, and obviously headed the Central Drug Research Institute for a full term as director, and has brought one drug, the once a week pill, in the market. contraceptive pill for use by women. I had the privilege to travel with him from Delhi to Bilani and back last year. I believe it was in September. I found him frail, so the age was catching on him, and he delivered a talk, but yes, he did need assistance, and we had discussions about science, Indian science, and research in reproduction, its ascent and its current decline, and what could be done about it. Well, the discussion was very enlightening. We had a 4-hour trip to Bilani and another 4-hour back to Delhi. So an 8-hour and a night at Insa guest house. I almost thought that this is possibly the last time I will be meeting Dr. Kamboj. Yes, ultimately that's the way it is. We are going to miss Dr. Kamboj, and we are going to miss him during this meeting. Goodbye, Dr. Kamboj.
Dr. B.P. Kamboj was a very remarkable reproductive biology scientist. I met Dr. B.P. Kamboj back in 1988 during my master. I did my master from Lucknow University, and Lucknow University is very close to the CDRI, the CSIR Institute, to do a PhD from CDRI. So in that, I had a very long association with Dr. B.P. Kamboj, and he's always mentored me, always supported me. And today, if I'm here as a director of National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal, I will say he has a great support in mentoring me. Today, I would like to be share that I may be the last person present in the hall today who had a last conversation with him, because I had a conversation on 22nd November. In fact, he, along with Dr. R.C. Sopti, organized one conference, and he invited us for a lecture. And I supposed to be arrived Jalandhar in 21st November, but due to some reason I could not reach then. Then he called me in the evening of 21st November that, Dr. Singh, are you coming? Then I said, sir, tomorrow morning I will meet you. It is really sad to share that on the next day, on 22nd, I came to know Dr. R.C. Sopti, sir, WhatsApp me, Dr. B.P. Kamboj is no more, and he left all of us to the heaven. I always remember Dr. Kamboj as a good mentor, great scientist, and whatever he has supported me in my professional. Thank you very much.
So it is a very humbling experience for us that we are celebrating the life of Dr. V.P. Kamboj. And I should say that a person who has known him since my childhood, I always revere him, and I think that he had a life well lived. And I feel that the age of 85, I would say that he has done in one lifetime that most of us would not be able to do even in several lifetimes. As a scientist, as an academician, as a person who was into product development, as a person who was into policy formulation for the government of India, as a person who was into translational science in BIRAC, in WIPCOL, as a person who mentored and advised the biotech park in Lucknow, and as a person who was at the helm of affairs of various committees, including committees at my own institution, and tried to develop the institutes. I think he was an institution unto himself. He has been able to come up with several products from CDRI where he was the director. But on a more personal note, I've had a very close relationship and bonding with him and his family. And I would say he was the only person on this planet who, whenever I called on telephone, would answer the call not by saying hello, but he would also say, "Haan beta, batao kya kar sakta hu." So I think I will dearly miss him. He was a fatherly figure to me, and after my father left for the heavenly abode, he was the person I would look up to and sort of take guidance from. I would definitely say that the society has lost a pillar in him, and I just hope that his students and the legacy that he has brought forward for not only this society but the community as a whole, the scientific community as a whole, would be carried forward by his students and those whom he mentored, including the institutions. So my regards to him, and wherever he is, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
This is Surendra Sharma from the US. I heard the sad news of Dr. V.P. Kamboge's untimely demise. I offer my condolences to his family and colleagues. Dr. Kamboge will be missed dearly by all of us. I had the good fortune of spending a few precious moments with him during the ISSRF conferences. He was so kind and always a staunch advocate of young investigators. It was always an honor of seeing him sitting in the front row during the ISSRF conferences and mingle with rest of us. It was so amazing to witness that a former president of National Academy of Sciences, former director of CDRI and CSIR, would informally mingle with young scientists and encourage them to excel. Goodbye, Dr. Kamboge. May God rest your soul in peace.
Dear esteemed dignitaries and ISSRF 2024 participants, greetings from ICMR. Shri Dr. Reproductive Biomedicine sir was serving as the chairperson of the National Task Force on Safe and Rational Use of Medicines, called SRUM, at ICMR after a distinguished career as the director of CDRI Lucknow and former president, National Science Academy. I also benefited from his mentorship, as I was a reproductive immunologist with a translational bent of mind, with him being a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee of ICMR NIRCH Mumbai. He was a doyen of science, and his opinions, heavy with experience, were always given with an easy candor. He was an unwavering supporter of all our initiatives at ICMR and well respected amongst the circle of scientists and researchers. His futuristic vision was way ahead than many of his contemporaries and guided several government policies on drug development. I read out an excerpt from his last and very important publication entitled Gaps in Translating Basic Science Research from Bench to Bedside, along with none other than Dr. Nilima Kshirsagar in Indian Journal of Medical Research in September 2023. He writes, way forward, drug development is time, cost and labor intensive, with chemists at one end and clinicians at the other, and operates through stipulated regulatory guidelines. The development of a new drug has a long gestational period of about 10 to 12 years and may cost around 0.2 to 0.5 billion if marketed only in India, and international development costs around 2 to 3 billion. Government therefore should encourage academia-industry collaborations with liberal funding for translational efforts, as was done during COVID-19 vaccine development. While regular funding is critical, training in the fundamentals of drug development for basic science researchers is also necessary. Further, to avoid wastage of resources and to ensure fast-track development, early proactive involvement of toxicologists, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamic study experts, and clinical pharmacologists, and interaction with clinicians from relevant specialties appears crucial. This will help in choosing appropriate animal model, adopting proper study design, working with likely safe and effective dose of target product profile with much shortened go-no-go decision-making time. In order to promote product development in academic institutions, the method of assessing research work conducted by the scientists in these institutes needs to be changed. and that is why I call him a visionary. A template outlining research impact specified as short-term, with publication, citation, dissemination, knowledge transfer, capacity building, training, leadership, collaboration and data sharing as the parameters, medium-term impact on guidelines, practice, policy and collaboration with industry, and the long-term patents, economic impact, income from patents and evidence-based practice would be very helpful. With his words to guide us always, I express my sincere gratitude to Professor N.K. Lohia sir, President ISSRF, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir.
Dear ISSRF family members, this is Professor Samir Kumar Patro from NIT Rourkela. Respected Professor Lohia, the President of ISSRF, I am sending this condolence message regarding the sad demise of Ved Prakash Kamboj sir, and who passed away in 21st of November 2023. I personally know him since last year when I met him in Cuttack in our ISSRF meeting and the conference. However, I heard about him when I was a PhD student and he was the director of CDRI Lucknow. Professor Kamboj has revolutionized the Indian science in many aspects, and he was a long-term strong support for the ISSRF for its, which I heard and realized also in the last meeting. It is very sad for all of us because he was a strong pillar of the ISSRF family, as I learned from my fellow colleagues. It is really very sad when I heard about his sad demise. I cannot express sufficient gratitude at this moment. It's really shocking. I pray to Almighty so that He keeps everyone very well and fit. Take care of yourself and your near and dear ones. Thank you all with regards to Professor Lohia and all the dignitaries and senior members of this group. Thank you all. Namaste.
Dear Professor Mishra, I'm happy to learn that you are organizing a tribute to my very good friend Dr. V.P. Kamboj. It is a matter of coincidence that when Dr. Kamboj came to Lucknow to join CDRI in 1961, I also returned after my training abroad to Lucknow the same year. So my association with Dr. Kamboj, obviously because of our common links with CDRI, lasted all these years from 1961 to now. It is no surprise, therefore, that I have long memories of this cherished friendship. I also had deep relationship with CDRI in various capacities. During the years when Dr. Kamboj was the director, I happened to be the chairman of the Science Advisory Committee of the Institute. And that brought us much closer and also apprised me of the outstanding scientific work that he was and has been carrying out during those years. Dr. Kamboj could be said to be a pioneer in the field of endocrinology because in 1961, when he joined CDRI in the endocrinology unit, there were no endocrinology departments even in medical colleges. And true to his commitment to the country, he chose a subject of greatest importance to the nation, and that is fertility control in its various aspects. You must be knowing the details of his contribution in this area, where he published more than 200 papers, patented at least 40-50 products, helped in the development of the CDRI non-steroidal anti-fertility agent, Centroman, and several other products which helped women especially in controlling their fertility as per their own desire. You can obviously see the details of this in the volume published by INSA on Fellows of the Indian National Science Academy. In addition to that, he obviously got involved in encouraging industry to take up development of products in India. And in that capacity, later on, after his retirement, he became chairman of WIPCOL, where he helped in the improvement and the quantitative increase in the production of the oral polio vaccine in an institution which was really struggling to even survive. He made it profitable. And all these years, we had also been closely associated with his activities related to the National Academy of Science, India, within bracket, NASI, at Allahabad. Therefore, he contributed there, besides all the work that he did as an administrator, as a scientist, as a promoter of drug industry, and promoter of science in the country. In the 2 minutes that you have asked me to talk about, it may be difficult for me to summarize anything more than to say Dr. Kamboj was a multifaceted, extremely competent scientist, a dedicated patriot who always looked at what best can be done for the country in the field of his work. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Please accept my deepest condolences on the death of Dr. Ved Prakash Kamboj. He was a brilliant scientist, champion of research, an outstanding educator, and a soft-spoken person. I have greatest admiration for him for his contribution in the field of reproductive biology. He was closely associated with Indian Society for the Study of Reproduction and Fertility, and he used to be there in almost all the ISSRF meetings. I had interaction with him during those meetings, and I had chance to listen to him, to his illuminating talks during the meeting. वो नासी के प्रेसिडेंट थे, CDRI के डायरेक्टर थे, और उनको बहुत कुछ सम्मान मिला हुआ था, फिर भी घमंड से अछूते थे और एक आत्मीयता थी उनसे, वो आत्मीयता से मिलते थे हम लोगों से। उनका लेटेस्ट अगर मैं रिमेम्बरेंस बोलूं तो मैं उनसे नवंबर 2022 में मिली, इमटेक गेस्ट हाउस में मिली, और वो कोई अवार्ड लेने के लिए नवंबर 2022 में इमटेक गेस्ट हाउस में ठहरे हुए थे। सुबह मिल गए और बोले, अरे सविता जी आप यहाँ पे, और हम दोनों ने वॉक साथ में ली। उनकी जो एनर्जी थी वो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर सकती, मतलब ही विल बी रिमेम्बर्ड फॉर दैट एनर्जी। उनका जो लास्टिंग इम्प्रेशन है वो एनर्जी का रहेगा, उनकी आत्मीयता का रहेगा मुझ पर। और his passing is a great loss for all of them who had privilege of knowing him. He was a wonderful human being who will be missed by all of us. जब भी मैं ISSRF मीटिंग जाऊंगी मैं उनको मिस करूंगी।
Good morning, delegates of ISSRF 2024 International Conference, ladies and gentlemen. I pay my homage to the remarkable life and illustrious career of Dr. B.P. Kamboj, the former director of the Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. Dr. Kamboj born in one of the place in the district of Jalandhar in Punjab, and he had his education starting from BSc, MSc, PhD and then DSc from the Punjab University, Chandigarh. He obtained his higher degree in the area of reproductive biology and contraceptive technology in West Germany in 1975. Before that, he joined as a research scientist at the Division of Endocrinology at Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow in 1961. And then he was promoted as the Deputy Director of the division at the same institution. In 1984, when I joined ICMR, I met him as one of the youngest scientists of the council. I noticed because he was the member of various scientific committees, expert committees, and even the scientific advisory group of the ICMR. And I noticed that he was very knowledgeable, very highly interactable, and used to give excellent comments during the discussion when I used to watch him as a young scientist. Dr. B.P. Kamboj later on became the director of the Central Drug Research Institute in 1992 and continued till 1997. So far the scientific contribution of Dr. B.P. Kamboj are concerned, he played a very crucial, a very important role in bringing one of the contraceptive pill, or in my word, the country's second drug molecule from lab to the market. When I talk about the second molecule, because the first molecule, that the ureastamine, was produced by Dr. Brahmachari, and after then from this country the second molecule was developed by late Dr. Nityanand, but the crucial task or crucial work starting from basic studies to clinical studies and to obtaining the various permission to obtain the marketing permission, that was the Dr. B.P. Kamboj play a very crucial role. In addition to that, a very important side effects which was noticed at that time, and that was the cysts in the ovary, which was noticed during the trial also with centochromone, and he played a crucial role in resolving the issue of ovarian cyst, and then it was resolved completely. In addition to that, Dr. Kamboj also played a crucial role in bringing one of the vaginal contraceptive, that is concept cream. All starting by basic research and preclinical toxicology studies were carried out by him. Dr. Kamboj's contribution to the field of pharmaceutical sciences, drug discovery, research management have left indelible mark on the scientific landscape, not only in India but around the globe. In closing, let us remember the word of Dr. B.P. Kamboj once mentioned that in the pursuance of knowledge or in pursuance of the science, there are no shortcuts, only the relentless pursuance of excellence. May his legacy continue to inspire the generation of scientists to come. Thank you.
Privileged to be able to say a few words of tribute on the occasion of ISSRF 2024 for Dr. V.P. Kamboj. Dr. Kamboj has been a very important figure in reproductive endocrinology in Indian science, and I had the privilege to meet him during the first year of my PhD when I went to give a talk in a comparative endocrinology conference at Delhi University. And from then onwards, I had the occasion to meet and interact with him at several meetings, whether it was INSA or DBT, DST and CSIR, where I was defending my projects. And he had this acumen of asking us questions which could make you think and improve your science. Over these several years after that, we also started meeting at the Indian Society of Reproduction and Fertility regularly every year, and that made me a little close to him, and I would consult him on all my projects and research as well as important time points of my progress in my career. And he has been a pillar of support for me during the good and the bad times which all of us face during our career. Over these years, as we all know, Professor Kamboj was instrumental in translational science, especially when out of the 20 drugs available in India, CDRI has been behind 11 of them, and the most popular one, senchromine, which is being used as a contraceptive in India. And over these times, several times, he has been a great support in the way that all youngsters require, and he has mentored, I am sure, many of the youngsters in our field. Over the time, although he is not there now with us, I am sure he will still act as the guiding light for us and must be looking on us and blessing us to take reproductive endocrinology ahead in India as well as globally. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.
B.P. Kamboj, I met him quite often in ISSRF meeting and was impressed about his outstanding work in medicine. I used to watch him as a dedicated, hardcore farmer man when presented the kinetics and dynamics of treatment regimes. But he put in a context, the context of the health for all. He was explicit that this way of inquiring the health status is vital for lowering morbidity. Maybe just two aspects of this very great man. First is a sheer, straightforward assertiveness and endurance. If you have read his extraordinary and wonderful article on herbal medicine that propelled me to the underlying reality of ethnomedicine, practiced by the long residents living in boreal and tropical dimly lit jungles. I do recommend, please read between the lines to see what endurance that man has for over 30 years, venturing in reproductive endocrinology, health medicine, enduring all sorts of tribulations. That was one aspect. Another aspect is the sheer generosity of spirit and modesty, reflected in every ISSRF scientific rendezvous. There are lots of experts to make arguments out of the conflict apparently between Western biomedicine and traditional ecological knowledge-based ethnomedicine, as to which has a pivotal role in treating disease or healing the illness. It didn't trouble Dr. Kamboj at all. If you wanted to try to find out any conflict of interest in his whole work, you won't find any evidence whatsoever.
So here, Ved Prakash Kamboj is an admirable man, a modest man, a tough man, a generous man, and a great scientist. We from diverse genomics are truly privileged to be able to share our scholastic wisdom as a fitting tribute to this great man.
I would like to share some glimpses of my father, Dr. V.P. Kamboj, beyond his profession. Contrary to his area of work, he loved mathematics, and every day after coming from office and having his evening tea, half an hour was dedicated to sums, tables, and oral maths. He would often tell us stories about his childhood and not resist us from reminding us of his daily two-word conversation with his father whenever we argued on any matter, though he never discouraged us from the same. Friendship was another cornerstone of Papa's life. He had an innate ability to connect with people from all walks of life, creating bonds that withstood the test of time. His friends often tell us of his loyalty, humor, and the genuine care he bestowed upon each relationship. In contrast, Mama was a total homemaker when out of hospital, and she was also the Hitler of the home. She made sure that apart from studies, we also learned skills like cooking, painting, embroidery, knitting, badminton, swimming, and much more. Both Mummy and Papa were very busy professionals, but family was always a priority for them. We would go on regular picnics, movies, and LTC outings. They always encouraged us to study and excel in our chosen fields. This was not only the case with my sister Mala and myself, but since they moved to Lucknow in 1972, they kept their younger siblings with them, as both had come from humble village backgrounds, educated them, and made them independent. Our children are lucky that they got to spend time with their Nanaji and Naniji for a good part of their childhood. The loss can never be filled, but we hope to emulate and lead a life of dedication, hard work, and humility as our parents did, and hope to teach the same to our kids.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rupesh from AIMS Delhi. And it was an honor for me to be at CDRI Lucknow today, and I thought I would record this video where Dr. Kamboj has been worked as a director for almost many years. And I recently interacted with Dr. Kamboj in my last year ISSRF meeting and really find it very motivating and helping in every aspect, and was really amazed to see the energy of Dr. Kamboj even at this.
My earliest memory of Dr. Kamboj sir, it goes back to 1997. That was the time when I joined the institute. At that time the institute was known as Institute for Research in Reproduction, and sir was a member of our scientific advisory committee. And I remember sir used to be held by all of us in great awe because of his immense expertise in the field of reproductive biology. In addition to his very astute remarks and very sharp observation, what distinguished him from others was his very towering personality and very hearty laughter. Laughter that could fill any silent room to the fullest. So he had very remarkable persona. So it really contributed to the growth of our institute, especially because he had expertise in the field of contraception, and during the late 90s, most of the scientists at the institute, they were working towards identifying novel targets of contraception for male as well as female. So his advice kept us moving in the right direction. And not only at institute level, at national level also, he saw to it that science treads a right path, as he was a member of various committees, where very important national committees, including those constituted by ICMR. So in Dr. Kamboj, we had a great role model who could show that yes, it is possible to take research from labs to masses. We have this example of Centroman, which was developed under his leadership at CDRI. And now this drug or contraceptive is available to our women under the program. So he was a great advocate of translational research. In addition, I think he also believed that it's important to disseminate reproductive health research, and I think ISSRF is a manifestation of his vision to ensure that the field remains viable and relevant. He has instituted 2 very important awards to encourage youngsters, and this is a very important step. At personal level also, I have been a great beneficiary of his generosity. My Nasi fellowship, for my Nasi fellowship, he was the one who nominated me. So that was really kind of him, and I will ever be grateful to him for that. So all of us at NIRCH and our whole scientific fraternity would be missing him for a very, very long time, and I feel that the field is going to be little less bright in his absence. Thank you.
नमस्कार आप सभी लोगों को, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर ज्ञानेंद्र सिंह है। मेरी पीएचडी CDRI लखनऊ से 2002 से 2006 के दौरान हुई है, और कंबोज सर को तो मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह से जानता हूँ। मेरे मेंटर भी थे, मेरी डायरेक्टर भी थे CDRI के फॉर्मर, और सबसे अच्छी बात है कि जब मेरा GRF to SRF इंटरव्यू में था तो कंबोज सर ही एज ए एक्सटर्नल आए थे और उन्होंने मेरा वाइवा लिया था। हम लोग 3 लोग और थे साथ में, तो कंबोज सर तो हम लोग का काफ़ी फ्रिक्वेंट उनसे इंटरेक्शन रहा करता था, क्योंकि जो एनुअल हमारे फंक्शंस हुआ करते थे CDRI लखनऊ के अंदर, मैं उसमें एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट करता था टॉक्सिकल लिविंग से, और कंबोज सर हमेशा आते थे। तो कंबोज सर को तो मैं बहुत पहले से जानता, कंबोज सर भी जानते थे कि ये बच्चा CDRI से। उसके बाद मुझे बड़ा सौभाग्य रहा कि उनको मेरा मिलने का सौभाग्य मिला जब हमने NIOH अहमदाबाद में हमने जब ISSRF की कॉन्फ्रेंस कराई थी 2016 में, तब कंबोज साहब यहाँ पर आए थे। तब मेरा उनसे बातचीत हुई थी, उनके चरण स्पर्श किए थे। उसके बाद ISSRF की सारी मीटिंग में मैं कंबोज साहब से मिलता रहा और उनको बताता रहा कि देखिए सर, आपके ट्रेन करोगे बच्चे आज कहाँ कहाँ हैं। तो ही वॉज वेरी हैप्पी when he came to know that कि I got PhD from CDRI from toxicology division, and he interviewed me during my upgradation from GRF to SRF. So he was saying कि अरे बच्चा, तुम बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हो, CDRI का नाम ऐसे रोशन करो। और मेरा बड़ा सौभाग्य रहा कि कंबोज साहब का लास्ट टाइम 2023 में जब हमारा उड़ीसा में भुवनेश्वर उसमें कटक में जब हमारी ISSRF कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई थी, तब मैं कंबोज साहब से मिला था। उनके हाथों ही मुझे ISSRF बेस्ट प्रेजेंटेशन अवार्ड मिला था। तब भी मेरा बड़ा सौभाग्य था कि मैं कंबोज साहब से मिला, उनके चरण स्पर्श किया, उनसे आशीर्वाद लिया, और उन्होंने बोला कि शाबाश बच्चे, CDRI का नाम हमेशा रोशन करना। बहुत ही मृदुभाषी थे, जॉली नेचर थे, हंसते थे, हंसाते थे, और लगता नहीं था कि वो इतनी बड़ी पोजीशन पे उनको इतना ज्ञान होगा। अब ईश्वर की अनुकंपा है कि वो हमारे बीच में नहीं है, लेकिन हमें लगता है कि उनका आशीर्वाद हमें हमेशा हमारे सर पे रहेगा। और सर, वी विल मिस यू ऑल।
डॉक्टर वेद प्रकाश कंबोज is no more. In November 2023, we lost Dr. Kamboj, a father figure personality of ISSRF. He was 86 years old. He used to be present in most ISSRF conferences, first to arrive in the auditorium and last to leave, besides questioning and clarifications on every presentation. He was cordial and never saw him in anger. I, along with ISSRF executives and members, express heartfelt condolences to late Dr. V.P. Kamboj's bereaved family and pray to the Almighty to give his family the strength to withstand his demise. May his soul rest in peace.
I am extremely sorry to know a sad demise of a renowned scientist, Dr. Kamboj. He was not only a scientist but a human being par excellence. I had association with him of more than 2 decades, but last 1 decade it was an intense association, meeting personally at various meetings and also virtually meeting in different conferences, seminars and workshops. He was very gentle person, and at this age also he has shown the interest into science, mentoring, The last meeting with him was during ISSFR conference in February 2023 at Bhubaneswar. And I saw him that since early morning start of the conference till end of the conference, he will be sitting in the hall, attending very carefully all the lectures, all the talk, and also make his comments and suggestions. His zeal and interest about the science and the contribution is very, very remarkable. And he was so punctual, so sincere, such a wonderful scientist, a human being we have lost. It's a loss to us scientists. He has not only served as a director of CDRI and he was past president of the NASI, but he has mentored many scientists and encouraged. It is the irretrievable loss to all of us. Our heartfelt condolences. We will remember for a long period his contribution, his humanity, his sincerity.
My encounter with Dr. Kamboj began like any other professional interactions, typically at conferences and symposia in the field of reproductive biology and endocrinology. However, it was during the planning stage of hosting the 32nd annual meeting of the Indian Society for Study of Reproduction and Fertility and the International Conference on Reproductive Health with emphasis on innovations in reproductive sciences and technologies at Provincial University Cuttack in Odisha that I truly got to know him. Dr. Kamboj, a towering figure in the scientific community, yet remarkably humble, revealed his true nature to me during these interactions.
This is a whole what is seven pillars. We talk of the seven pillars.
It was an honor to be selected for the Mridula Kamboj Memorial Oration Award established in loving memory of his wife. Dr. Kamboj presided over the session alongside Professor P.P. Mathur. During the introduction, when P.P. Mathur asked him to speak about Dr. Mridula Kamboj and the award, Dr. Kamboj's emotional response and his heartfelt breakdown spoke volumes about the depth of his character, which translated his role as an esteemed administrator and scientist.
I am extremely thankful to Dr. Luna Samant, who invited us, and now I'm really privileged to invite her for a talk. And this is under Dr. Mrs. Mridula Kamboj.
The event was held in our university's convention center, aptly named 7 Pillars of Wisdom, after the autobiography of T. Lawrence. As Dr. Lohia astutely remarked, just as there are 7 philosophies in life,
and I would like to mention there are 4 pillars of IASSRI. Out of 4 pillars, we have 1 pillar, Professor Darwar sitting here. We have another pillar, Dr. Kamboj here.
4 pillars sustaining the ISSRF. Though one significant pillar is physically absent, no one can replace the void left by Dr. Kamboj. However, his enduring presence will always continue to inspire us. Receiving the award and the blessings from his hands was an unforgettable moment for me, marking the culmination of the conference. Sir, your congratulatory email resounds in my mind and serves as a constant motivation for my team and me to strive for more. It brings me great joy to announce that this year, coincidentally, the prestigious Dr. Mridula Kamboj Memorial Young Scientist Award will be bestowed upon one of my PhD scholars, Dr. Nirlipta Swain. As we mourn your loss, Dr. Kamboj, we find solace in celebrating your remarkable contribution to reproductive biology and endocrinology. Honoring your legacy through our continued dedication to these fields is the most fitting tribute to a legendary individual like you. Wherever you are, sir, bless us to do more.
Greetings from National Institute of Animal Biotechnology, Hyderabad. With very heavy heart, I put this message in an honor of esteemed senior and accomplished scientist, a noted reproductive endocrinologist, a scientist who was bestowed with very many awards in his honor, including Vigyan Gaurav. It was the day Tuesday, November the 21st, 2023, when we gathered such a shocking news that Professor Kamboj was away to Jalandhar in Punjab, and we gathered the news that we don't have him amongst us. Majority of us, especially the Reproductive Biology Society members, his students, scientists, colleagues, collaborators, and above all those to whom he has been mentoring directly, indirectly, including me myself. We were all in shock, sorrow, and we were really not finding correct words how to express and how to believe. How the life takes a turn. It was April 1st, 1937, again Jalandhar, Punjab, where Professor Kamboj was born. He went there for a meeting in Punjab, Jalandhar again, when we lost him. Actually, what I understood with the discussion, some personal discussions during professionals meeting, he used to say that it was a Punjab province where he was born when India was not independent at that time. He did his education there, then he went to West Germany to make note of it. And so many other things, including he being the CEO of Biotech Park at Lucknow, the president of Academy. It was last Academy meeting at Prayagraj where we were meeting. It was a fellowship scrutiny committee meeting, and he was the nominee from Nasi. And he was perfect, and how he used to be, he was just like that. And before that, while all the presidents were addressing the gathering, he was one of them. And he was straightforward, clear, encouraging, motivating, and pretty strong. While we were having a lunch, we said, "You surely are an encouraging person to all of us." A very warm person with lot of wishes, lot of discussions, open to discussions, open to exchange of ideas. I remember vividly, it was December of 2018 when the Animal Physiology Association, where I was the president of that, I reached out to him that maybe have you as a keynote speaker and chief guest for the inaugural function. It was peak winter time, and he immediately said, "Oh yes, I'm all for it." And I remember how nice that keynote address was. Besides that, so many things, so many memories, remembrances, discussion, especially at the ISSRF platform. It was a ritual to meet all the colleagues and seniors as well, and he was one noted worthy senior. As the ISSRF 2024 is nearing, the countdown has already begun. I don't know how the meeting would be without him. I'm sure wherever Professor Kamboj is, he would surely be blessing the reproductive biology fraternity in general and ISSRF in particular. I pray the Lord above that let the noble departed soul rest in eternal praise. With a lot of regards to Professor Kamboj and a lot of motivation which he gave to many of us. Thank you very much. Thank you ISSRF for having given me a chance to express my association with Professor Kamboj.